He's never once a lack effort, is he?
Sheer dogged determination not to let the shuttle drop.
I don't believe that.
That's just how I look. I have bruises all over my body.
Hans-Kristian Vittinghus wins the Australian Open in Denmark and won the Thomas Cup.
I don't think I won nearly as much as I dreamt about.
Johnny, such a good smash.
Look at the reaction.
That just says everything about Hans-Kristian Vittinghus, willing to put himself through hell to win one rally.
I was 3, part of the country, to a city called Solrød in Sealand, the biggest island in Denmark. My parents were looking for something for the kids to do, and when I was 5, so when we had lived there for about a year or so, we got this flyer in the mailbox from the local badminton club that they had this Saturday morning badminton thing for kids. And my oldest sister, I have 2 older sisters, and the oldest one, she really wanted to go and try it, and because she said she wanted to go, my other sister said then she also wanted to go, and then my parents thought, yeah, why not send me as well. Yeah, I guess if we had got a flyer from the tennis club or something else, it would have been maybe tennis I had played instead. So it's quite by coincidence that it's actually badminton. When I was 8 years old, I played the first real tournament, which was in the under 11 age category. They had 2 different levels. I played in the lower one. It was kind of a scout that was looking in those tournaments, and she saw me play and said, well, you're good enough to play in the highest level. So from that point on, I've only played at the highest level tournaments in all my junior years. So I guess already at that time, it was pretty obvious that I did have some talent for the sport. And it was also pretty obvious for me already back then that I enjoyed competing. So from that point on, I just basically played tournaments every single weekend if it was possible. The very moment actually where I decided that I want to go full out and try and become a professional player was when I finished elementary school, which must be at age 15, because I decided to then go to the second level. We call it gymnasium in Denmark. I'm not sure what it's, probably college, same as college in England. When I had to make that move from elementary school to college, I decided to go to a place where it was possible to do training in the mornings, and then start school a little bit later, which again, back in those days, it was not very normal to be able to have morning practice. Not a lot of badminton clubs in Denmark offered it. So it was like a big step for me. Also because I had to use public transport to get there, and it took a little bit more than an hour to get there, and also a little bit more than an hour to get back. So it was kind of a big time investment to choose to do it that way. But I chose that because it gave me the best opportunity to train as much as possible. The club couldn't offer it to me, so I needed to find an alternative way, and that was the way and the route I chose. So it was a very clear choice at the age of 15 that now I want to really go for it. I think earlier than that, I was already training a lot and being serious and stuff, but it was very clear that when I needed to make that change in terms of school and studies, I said, okay, now it's the main priority is going to be badminton. A little bit before I had my final under 19 tournament, I was invited in at the National Center for a few practices to just kind of see what it is for myself, but also for the coaches to have a peek at what I would bring in a training environment like that. And I guess I did pretty okay, because as soon as I finished under 19, they then said that, okay, now you can start training in the National Center. But it was a little bit different back then than it is now. Back then you got offered 2 trainings a week at the National Center, and it was kind of like a B group. So it was a lot of young players and a little bit older that hadn't had the big breakthrough yet, and then all the best guys would be training in the A group right after. So at the start, I was only in the National Center 2 days a week, Tuesday and Thursday, and the rest of my training would be in the club still. But I think it only took a year or a year and a half before they kind of changed the system and divided it into singles and doubles groups instead, and that made sure that all the players actually, basically, all the singles players would train at the same time and all the doubles players would train at the same time. It's like I've always felt very welcome in the environment. Like as soon as I started training with them, I've never felt like they were looking down on me in any way. Actually, on the contrary, I've always felt that they've been very invested into trying to help me become a better player, which I think they did also for selfish reasons, because they knew that they were gonna have to train with me for a long time. So the better level I could get as a feeder, the better understanding I could get of the exercises, the better training would be for them. It's always been like a great environment to train in, and I think, honestly, I think it's one of the big secrets behind the Danish men's singles tradition, that all the best players have always had that kind of attitude that you need to kind of pass it on, you need to help educate the young guys, and then when it's their turn, they have to do the same for the next one. Yeah, there's no doubt the first 1.5 years as a senior player was like really frustrating for me. I really had a lot of success in under 17 and under 19. I was used to winning most of the tournaments I played in singles, and all of a sudden when I became a senior player, I started playing these EBU tournaments, which are now known as series and challenge events. I didn't make it past the second round of the main draw for the first 1.5 years. I made it through qualifying every single time apart from once, but yeah, then also cleared the first round hurdle a lot, but always in that second round it was just something happened that made me lose every time. Sometimes it was a little bit of a mental block, I think, but also just because when you have to play 3 qualifying matches, you have to play a first round match as well. It's also not so much a physical problem, because I think I've always been pretty strong in terms of that, but like the mental fatigue when you have to perform for so many matches, like it's basically playing an entire tournament before that second round match. So I was really struggling getting past that second round hurdle, and I clearly remember a lot of the frustration. I also remember when it changed, because I played on Iceland, a tournament where I saw the draw and I was like, this is the moment, like now I have to get past that second round. I had a pretty comfortable first round, and then I knew in the second round I had a Danish guy who was he's one year older than me, but I've played against him many times in juniors, and I knew also from the first year senior that my level was higher than his in general. I would usually beat this guy, so I was like, yeah, it's for sure gonna happen this week. And then I played this guy, and of course I lost once again. Like I couldn't get my game going at all. I was way too tense, and I really still remember the feeling after that match. Like I was kind of like, yeah, maybe I should just quit. Like I'm never gonna get past that second round. Like my solution at the time is a solution that I would not recommend to anyone, but it worked for me. I went out that night and got absolutely hammered. The very next week actually, I won a weekend international. So like I'm not saying that week out is was the entire solution, but I think it says quite a bit about that. It was a mental thing mostly for me, and I put so much pressure on myself, and I kind of just let it go after that tournament in Iceland and said, yeah, yeah, don't worry about it. Just go out, have fun, do your best, and then we'll see what happens. And already, yeah, the following week, I got the breakthrough. But then I played the Turkey International and won it. I think that was in 2007, yeah. And I remember in the airport when I had to check in for the flight, I needed to carry my bag, and I needed to put it up on my shoulder. So I bent down, I took it up, and in the very moment I kind of took it up, I felt something burst in my knee, and the next day my knee was just the size of like a football. So I thought, yeah, now I have to go get this checked. Even before that, I never really got anyone to look at the knee because I was young and stupid and thought like, yeah, it's just a little bit of swelling. I could just keep going and it will go away. Physio didn't really know what it was, so I was sent to a hospital to get it checked as well. And we needed to wait, I think it was about a week before the swelling was gone, so they could actually get anything out of an MRI scan. And yeah, then they noticed I had this very rare tumor called a PVNS tumor, which hits 1 in 500,000 a year. So it was just like a tumor that was in my knee, which was what they call kind of like slow growing. So I could have had it for years, but it just kept on getting bigger and bigger. And that's why now I was the knee was just swelling up when I did physical activity. I had to get it removed if I wanted to be able to play badminton. Like it was nothing with cancer or anything. Like it was not a dangerous tumor. It was just just a tumor that was not supposed to be there. But they had to open up my knee to make sure they got everything out. Because if just like a small piece was left, then it would just start growing again, and then they would have to go in again. Got the operation or surgery done in November 2007, and I think I competed again already in February, maybe end of February. I played the German Open and Austria Open as 2 of the first events. So it was like three and a half months from the surgery to me actually competing again. But it was also very clear that I rushed it way too much. I didn't really have any respect for the fact that you can be without pain for quite some time before you actually get back to the level where you're strong enough to compete at the highest level. So I also performed pretty poorly in the tournaments after I came back. But I was just, again, I was very young and I was very eager to get on court. So I was just pushing really hard, also because I wanted to play the European Championships in 2008. So I knew I had to get back on court as fast as possible to kind of prove to the coaches that I was ready, and they could pick me for that. Didn't really go into that tournament feeling 100% fit. I just remember that I was a little bit lucky in one of the matches against another Danish guy. I think it was like a quarterfinal, perhaps a semifinal, a guy called Whyhe. And it was kind of like after that, I got the confidence, and then in the final I played a Chinese guy, Whyhe, who at the time was a brilliant player. At that time, I was pretty good at rising to the occasion when I made those finals. I think I've only ever lost one final at the EBU level in something like 11 finals, something like that. The same thing happened there in Dutch. When I had to play this guy who was by far the best player I played that entire week, I just kind of raise my level, but it was only possible because I also ate a lot of painkillers. I put a lot of painkilling cream on my knee as well, so I wasn't really feeling good actually in terms of my physique at that time. But yeah, somehow I found a way to win anyway. It was a huge experience. I would also say amazing, but it was not all positive. I remember playing in Singapore, and it was like the craziest thing I've ever tried because the drift was just unbelievable. Like, I've had only played in small halls. Like, all the European EBU tournaments at that time were being played in very small arenas, like big arenas like they do today. So I had never experienced what real drift was like. And I still remember Lars Ure, who was the head coach in Denmark at the time, had told me, yeah, you have drift to his forehand, both like to the backline or baseline, but also towards the side. So be a little bit careful when you play his forehand. And then the first time when he hits a smash in my forehand side, I tried to like make a long defense into his forehand corner, and it just sails like 2-3 meters wide of the court. And I'm like, yeah, okay, maybe I should have listened to the coach. He maybe knows a little bit more about it than I do. But it was just amazing to be part of those tournaments, because it's obviously, it was what I was dreaming of, was winning the big events. I wanted to be part of the Super Series Tour. So finally being there, being able to go on court and compete with these guys was just, an amazing experience. And then I said to my coach after the match, like, I told you this guy is never gonna make it to the top. Well, it started with me actually seeing Chen play at, I think, German Open earlier the same year, and I wasn't really too impressed. And then he started doing really well.
Caused a sensation 2 weeks ago by beating the world #1 Lee Chong Wei.
But he beat Chong Wei, and I was like, yeah, I don't really see how that's possible. And everyone was like kind of talking him up and hyping him, saying like he's going to be the next big thing. And I told my coach before that match in Macau, like, this guy, I'm not too impressed about him. So I had a pretty good feeling that I could beat him, and I went on to actually beat him. And then I said to my coach after the match, like, see, I told you this guy is never gonna make it to the top.
Chen of China is the world champion. Chen and a second world title for Chen of China. Chen, the two-time world champion, becomes the Olympic champion.
It's one of the worst predictions I've made in my career. It was actually both with the coaches, but also the head of sports in Denmark at the time, a guy called Finn Treop Hansen, who was like the guy in charge of deciding like who gets funding, like who's still in the system in a way that we kind of where the coaches still believe in you and we are still trying to give you a lot of focus and stuff like that. And they weren't really happy with with my progress in general. The national center is there to try and produce players that can win on the world level, win medals at the Europeans, the World Championships, Olympics, and stuff like that. And you don't do that by winning EBU tournaments. You do that by being competitive in the big events. So we had some serious talks at the time about like how I was doing everything. Like they've never had an issue with my performance on court in training. I've always been very good at giving 100% when I'm at training, but off court there was a lot of things where I maybe wasn't doing enough if I wanted to make it to the very highest level. One of the things was it actually correlates a little bit back to the story I told you about before winning Norway. I went out in Iceland and got absolutely drunk, and I did that way too much in that period. Actually, the tournament we were talking about before with Dutch that I won, I was on a ridiculous drinking spree on the Wednesday before that tournament started. So I had too many of those where I was not really having a very serious life outside of the training sessions. I never skipped a training. I was always there. I always gave 100%, but I just wasn't doing 100% off court. Even though I haven't reached the goals that we had set 1 year before in terms of my progress, in terms of ranking and my game and stuff, but Finn decided to say, okay, even though on paper maybe I should say you're out of the system, I'll give you another 6 months, which I'm very grateful that he did. But actually, after those 6 months, I didn't perform the way that he said I needed to. So he was in his right to actually kick me out of the system. But he kind of, for some reason, felt that I was now on the right track, on the right path towards getting better and better. At the time, I was, I think, 26 in the world, so I didn't qualify because of 2 spots. I needed to be top 24. But because Jan Jorgensen got injured with his hamstring, the federation decided to withdraw him because they knew I was first in the reserves list. So I got in only because Jan actually got injured. It's the day before we had the final training in the main arena. I was on court with Gade. And obviously he was at the later stage of his career, but obviously he was still a world-class player. I think he was ranked 4 or 5 in the world. He won a bronze at that World Championships. And we played, at the end of the training, we played 1 game, and I lost 21-3 to Gade. And I clearly remember because after the match, I was talking to the coach and saying I have no idea what's going on. How am I ever gonna perform well here? But Gade actually came over and shared a few nice words and said it's normal. It doesn't mean anything for your ability to perform tomorrow. As soon as I got on court against Huyun, I felt good. I was moving well, and when I beat him, it was. For me, it kind of felt like a breakthrough already at that point because I beat a seeded player at the World Championship. So to me, I proved that, okay, I actually belong at this level and I can do some damage.
Congratulations on your win today. How do you think you performed?
I performed just as I hoped I would. I played a great game. I had a little bit of down in the second set, but that's mostly due to Simon playing a lot better than he did in the beginning. So I'm extremely pleased with what I achieved today.
Our attention to singles, and it is the defending champion, the 2-time defending champion and current world #1, Lee Chong Wei of Malaysia. He's up against Hans-Kristian Vittinghus of Denmark.
I remember the match clearly because for me it was very extremely important to perform well at All England and beat one of the top players because I was fighting to qualify for the Olympics with Gade and Jan. And I knew that I was number 3 in that pecking order, and for me to be selected before Jan, for example, or before Gade, who was declining in his level, I needed to show that I was able to beat one of the medal contenders, and obviously Chong Wei was one of the huge favorites. The only thing I had in my mind during that match was like to do everything I could to stay in the match. So I just wanted to like fight as much as I could and show him that I was not going to give him anything. Then hopefully he would fall down a few percentages and I could take advantage.
In the second game, race to that 7-love lead. Great fighting spirit from Vittinghus. No, that's not possible, surely. Come on, man. Bit of effort.
There's like 0% chance that I'm going to win the rally, but I don't care about that at that point. I just care about trying to show I can get everything back. I can do absolutely everything here, and I will do it to try and win.
Well, that is absolutely tremendous.
15-13.
That just says everything about Hans-Kristian Vittinghus, willing to put himself through hell to win one rally.
Come on, Vittinghus, a bit of effort. Unbelievable! No, I don't believe it. That is sensational, Badminton. Don't believe it. Yeah. Goodness me, that's brilliant.
So absolutely everywhere. Vittinghus, but to no avail.
Oh my goodness. He's never won so that effort, is he?
You have quite a few cuts and bruises on your legs from diving. Is that just a natural reaction to want to get the shuttle back?
Yeah, I do that in almost every match I play, so it's that's just how I look. I have bruises all over my body all the time.
Hans-Kristian Vittinghus.
Hans-Kristian Vittinghus of Denmark. His first final of the year has to settle for second best. Watch a match like this, I can't see an awful lot wrong with what we've got at the moment. This is wonderful.
Hans just stepped up a bit now again.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. He's never won so that effort, is he? enjoyed that. Without any shadow of a doubt, this the biggest match in the career of Hans-Kristian Vittinghus. He has never been past a quarter-final stage of a Super Series tournament outside of Super Series finals. And here he is at the end of season finale in the final of the Super Series finals. Chen Long, the world champion, #1 seed, having finished the year for the first time ever as #1 on the Super Series standings.
Yeah, that week in Dubai was for sure very special for me. I was actually quite happy I had to play Chen Long, because even though I had that bad head-to-head record against him, as I said, I always had the feeling that I could play with him. Like, we would always engage into good matches. So I went into the match believing I had a chance of winning.
That's a good smash.
Vittinghus absolutely pouncing on that one, and that's
good variation.
Service over.
yeah.
Service over.
Play by Chen Long. Now, Vittinghus really have to watch out. There's a great shot from Chen Long, setting him up nicely.
Oh yes. Third time lucky, although there was nothing lucky about the performance of Chen Long.
But he is a player that a lot of people back in Denmark feel they have a chance to play a good match against.
Until that point, I actually felt like I was competitive with him.
I'm sensing a little more urgency again in the style of Chen Long. It's all gone horribly wrong for Vittinghus and wonderfully right for Chen Long.
In the men's doubles and the women's doubles prior to this match.
Yeah.
Here it comes.
There. 12 straight points to close out the match, and Chen Long regains the title that he held 2 years ago.
I would say even though I lost, I really enjoyed that final. I think it was an amazing badminton. I think I did really well. Yeah, sometimes you just have to acknowledge that you're playing against someone who's better than yourself. I didn't acknowledge that in 2009 against him, but at that time it was pretty clear that yeah, he was just a better badminton player. I was confident I could make top 16 again, which I also did in 2012, which would make me eligible to be picked by the national team coaches. But I wouldn't say that I felt very comfortable for sure was going to be me, because at that time at the end of 2014 and start of 2015, Victor was already starting to emerge onto the scene.
Yeah, he has now. Well, this is a very good spell from the youngster.
We all knew that he was going to be playing a factor as well. It was just a matter of like how quickly would his development go. I saw it as a three-man race between me, Jan, and Victor. I didn't have the best start to the year in terms of just performance. Nothing was really wrong. I was just not performing at the same level as I did in 14. But I then came to US Open in the summer and just played amazing.
It's out. Vittinghus on his knees for the first time since Dubai at the end of 2014. He is in a men's singles final.
I beat Chen. I beat Winky Wong from Hong Kong, who was also a top player at the time. So like I had a really, really strong tournament. Played well against Lee Chong Wei in the final.
Thank you.
Party pooper here, and he's doing it pretty well. Oh! Terrific rally here. Restart. This. Inspiring rally, which Lee Chong Wei wins in the end.
So I was feeling very positive after that final, that okay, I'm back on track, I'm gonna show my real level and I will be competing for that spot at the Olympics. But that feeling lasted for 45 minutes, I guess, maybe an hour. So I decided after the final that, okay, I'll just walk back to the hotel. It wasn't a long walk, it was maybe like 15-20 minute walk. On that walk back to the hotel, all of a sudden, I just felt this extremely sharp pain in my right heel, just out of nowhere. Just in one step, I just felt it, like I got a knife in my heel. And from that point on, I was struggling so much with heel pains for the rest of the year. At one point during 2015, I would honestly say I basically had almost no hope of making top 16 because I had no hope of training without pain. And if you cannot do that, you cannot perform at a world-class level. I was trying to play through it because, again, it was an Olympic qualifying year. It's hard to choose to miss out on tournaments because you know all your competitors, all your opponents, they will be gathering points and you will feel like you're just missing out. The wise choice would have been to skip a bit more and try to get the heel sorted a little bit earlier. But yeah, I was hoping that it would just kind of fade away over time, which I've experienced with other smaller injuries before.
Glasgow's Emirates Arena, home to the Scottish Open Badminton Championships.
So I decided with the coaches, like, okay, I'll play Scottish Open in November, and then I'll just kind of like say that's it for the year. We'll talk to the doctor about what to do. And yeah, so I went to that Scottish Open thinking, okay, all I have to do this week is just eat the pain and try to get some sort of result that gives me just a little bit of hope that next year I can come back.
From Denmark, Hans-Kristian Vittinghus. From England, whyhe.
The best male player in Britain. Despite the defensive skills from Rajah, it's Hans-Kristian Vittinghus, the top seed, that takes the opening game, 21 points to 19. Well, to the delight of the locals, as popular as Vittinghus is, it's Usef who gets the applause, and he levels up for a game apiece. We go in the distance.
Always
here in the
good at is just coping with pain. I'm a very physical player because I can keep going when it's tough and when things hurt.
Oh. Oh, he's done it!
And obviously it gave me a lot of hope for 2015 because I then felt like, okay, get rid of that pain. At least now I showed that with that pain I can still perform at a pretty high level. Beating Raj in the final is beating a guy who was on the Super Series circuit.
It's absolutely amazing. I honestly didn't expect it going into this week. I've had a lot of trouble with injuries and I didn't feel in great shape. I've been training 4 hours a week for the last 6 or 7 weeks, so I'm quite surprised I could play at this level, but also extremely pleased and happy to end my year on a high.
I had hope that 2016 could be better if I could just get rid of the pain.
It's hard to see this year getting much better for me right now.